In biblical theology and ancient practices, blood represents the essential cost of covenant, atonement, and life, often acting as a currency for spiritual transactions. Genesis 4:10 shows blood crying out for justice, while spotless lambs, Exodus 12:5, and sacrificial blood, Leviticus 16 symbolize the atonement price for sin. In many occult, folk magic, and historical traditions, blood is considered a potent energetic offering, sometimes referred to metaphorically as blood currency, used to signify life force, seal oaths, or power rituals. It is not universally true for all witchcraft, but is a recognized component in specific, intense forms of magical practice. Jeremiah warns against false worship, including horrific child sacrifice to idols, Jeremiah 7:31-19, which mimics the concept that blood, as the ultimate life force, holds supreme spiritual power. According to provided esoteric texts, global upheaval and bloody sacrifice mark the transition between spiritual ages, connecting to the concept of a new order of the ages. This phrase, Novus Ordo Seclorum, is found on the Great Seal of the United States and the $1 bill, translating from Virgil's Eclogue IV, which prophesies a child's birth and a golden age return. Aleister Crowley's Thelema aligns this with the Aeon of Horus, initiated through the destruction of world wars. 1. The child and the new order of the ages. The phrase Novus Ordo Seclorum on the $1 bill is a direct reference to Virgil's Eclogue IV, a Roman poem that prophesies a great order of the ages born anew. The prophecy, Virgil describes the birth of a divine child who will bring an end to the Iron Age of suffering and usher in a new golden age under the reign of Saturn. Interpretations. While early Christians saw this as a prophecy of Christ, esotericists like Aleister Crowley and Alice Bailey viewed it as the arrival of a new evolutionary consciousness, represented by Crowley as the crowned and conquering child, Horus. 2. Crowley's Aeon of Horus and global conflict. In Magic and Theory and Practice, Aleister Crowley posits that the transition between spiritual eons, ages, requires a bloody sacrifice on a planetary scale. The sacrifice, Crowley claimed that the Great War, World War I, and subsequent global upheavals were the ritualistic world ceremony necessary to initiate the Aeon of Horus. Shift in consciousness. This new age is defined by the force and fire of the child god Horus, replacing the dying god, Osiris' era of sacrifice and submission with one of self-realization and true will. 3. The Lucis Trust and the Two-Thirds. Alice Bailey, through the Lucis Trust, taught that humanity is currently transitioning into a new age, the Age of Aquarius, which requires a sorting of human consciousness. The sorting, her writings describe a future point, the close of the age, where 2/3 of humanity will have evolved enough to stand upon the path of spiritual initiation, while the remaining 1/3 will be held over for future cycles of development. The sixth sub-race. The Curtis text mentions the sixth sub-race, a theosophical concept describing a new stage of human evolution characterized by heightened intuition and clairvoyance. This transition is predicted to be marked by tremendous disasters and final battle before the arrival of a great teacher or avatar. In biblical prophecy, the false prophet, the second beast of Revelation 13, appears later in the timeline than the four horsemen of Revelation 6. This sequence often serves as a framework for modern conspiracy theories, such as those explored in David Crowley's unproduced film Grey State. 1. Biblical timeline, horseman to false prophet. The four horsemen, Revelation 6, these represent the beginning of the seven seals. They symbolize conquest, war, famine, and death, which many interpret as the beginning of the tribulation. The false prophet, Revelation 13, this figure emerges later to support the Antichrist, the first beast. He is responsible for instituting the mark of the beast, which restricts buying and selling to those who bear the number 666. 2. David Crowley and Grey State. David Crowley was an Iraq War veteran and filmmaker who gained a massive following for his viral trailer for Grey State. The premise, the film depicted a dystopian near-future America under martial law, featuring themes of government overreach, biometric surveillance, and RFID chips as a modern interpretation of the mark. The tragedy, Crowley never finished the film. In January 2015, he was found dead along with his wife and daughter. Because the film's content focused on New World Order tropes and the RFID chip as the 666 mark, his death sparked widespread theories that he was silenced by a shadowy government for getting too close to the truth. Luke 12 verses 2-3. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Therefore whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you have spoken in the ear in inner rooms will be proclaimed on the housetops. The redemption of believers, as described in Galatians 3:13, 1 Peter 3:18-22, and the ultimate victory in Revelation 19 and 21, is made possible through the precious blood of Christ, which acts as a ransom from a worthless way of life. 1 Peter 1:18-19 identifies this sacrifice as the incorruptible, spotless blood of the Messiah. 1. Talmud, Yom Kippur rejected, c. 30 ad. The source, the Babylonian Talmud, Yoma 39b, and Jerusalem Talmud, Sada 6, 3, state that 40 years before the destruction of the Second Temple, which happened in 70 AD, miracles stopped occurring on Yom Kippur. The signs, for centuries, a red ribbon tied to the temple door turned white, signifying atonement. The lot for God also favored the right hand. The shift, around 30 AD, 40 years prior to 70 AD, the red ribbon did not turn white, the lot favored the left, the western lamp went out, and the heavy temple doors opened on their own. Interpretation, rabbinic tradition indicates God stopped accepting the sacrifices as effective 40 years before the destruction of the temple, coinciding with the death of Jesus. 2. China, Emperors Records, 31 AD. The source, the history of the latter Han dynasty, Ho Hanshu, covering the reign of Emperor Guangwu of Han. The event, a solar eclipse, is recorded in the 7th year of Emperor Guangwu, which corresponds to 31 AD, though some sources debate 30 or 33 AD. The record, Imperial Annals record that in the 4th month, around Passover time, a 3-hour eclipse occurred. A normal solar eclipse lasts only minutes. The interpretation, the records note that the yin and yang were reversed, darkness covered the land, and the court recorded, the sins of all the people are now on one man. The emperor now proclaims pardon to all under heaven. A separate report says, the man from heaven died. Summary. The confluence of these independent records, the Talmud stating that atonement was no longer found in the temple, and the Chinese imperial records documenting a miraculous, extended darkness with a man from heaven taking on the sins of the people, is often cited by scholars and theologians as profound evidence for the crucifixion occurring in the early 30s AD. In biblical theology and ancient practices, blood represents the essential cost of covenant, atonement, and life, often acting as a currency for spiritual transactions. Genesis 4:10 shows blood crying out for justice, while spotless lambs, Exodus 12:5, and sacrificial blood, Leviticus 16 symbolize the atonement price for sin.